What's up, Sliders? Welcome to the DMPOD. This is your host, Darian. This is
Matthew.
and today we're doing a movie review. It's called Halloween's End. It's part of our Spooktober or whatever you want to call it. Feature.
Spooktober's gonna run into freaking November.
Well, this
be-
one's coming out on
It's
Halloween.
gonna be Turkober.
Black Phone's not uploading right now, so hopefully we'll get both of these uploaded on Halloween. That's the plan, at least. We're recording this the day before. The Cowboys just won again. It's been a while since we recorded an episode, but we're doing all right.
Not Cooper Rush this time.
Yeah, not Cooper Rush this time. Dak Prescott beat bad teams, so everyone thinks he's good now. That's kind of how it works, right?
Dax.
I mean, Tony Pollard. Okay, anyways, it's not a Cowboys podcast. How you doing, Matt? You doing all
Tony
right?
Pollard though. Yeah, I do want to bring up that Tony Pollard is
Not the
elite
time.
with an E.
You doing all right today, Matt?
Yeah, I'm doing. I mean, yeah. I'm not gonna
Okay, so
get in too depth into that.
yeah, but I'm doing pretty good. I had a good weekend. Oh, not the greatest, but it was pretty good. We're doing Halloween Ends, which is the third installment of the new trilogy that what they had for, I guess, the
Third, I thought there was like 7 or 8.
no, it's the third installment of like the new trilogy, like the Halloween one.
I got you.
Yeah, because this is like not the reboot. It's kind of hard to explain. We'll get into it in a bit, but this is the third of their installment. It was streamed. It was made on what, Peacock? It was through Peacock, where we watched it on. You can also watch it in theaters. Glad we didn't actually spend money on this movie.
Yeah. I would have
Been a little,
not have been a happy guy.
yeah. We'll say the least. So originally, Matt, before we get into, actually, no, let's do a small review. Is it worth buying?
No.
Is it worth my $5 on
No.
Peacock? No, it's not. Honestly, you can go watch. There's plenty, especially on Peacock. They have so many good. This is not a sponsorship, by the way, but they have so many good.
Sponsorship. Sponsor us, Peacock.
You wish. What is it? There's so many good horror movies on Peacock. So why would you spend your time watching this movie? If I'm being honest,
I mean, you were hyping this one up.
I was saying it was hopefully gonna be good, or at least the kills would be good. It wasn't even, the kills weren't even the greatest. Like,
I thought this was gonna be the greatest movie since freaking
okay, Peters, you
Joker on the wall, but
Nah.
you were like, no.
I said it wasn't gonna be that good. Come on now.
I'm watching this. I'm like, man, you hyped it up this much?
I know. No, I didn't. I didn't hype it up like that.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't, Peters. I
We
promise.
gotta watch Halloween Ends, man.
Well, we had to watch it because it's a new movie, and I was hoping to at least be decent, but then because it is still Laurie Strode versus Michael Myers for 20 minutes. My friend said it was good though, which I don't know how she thought that. I was like, you need to see more movies. It's if you're gonna go watch just listen to our review. Don't watch it. Just listen to our review so we can tell you how bad it is. If you like Halloween, like if you like the franchise, I would say you should already watch it by now. It's been 14 days, honestly. But if not, then go ahead and watch it if you like Halloween. But if I were you, I'll just skip the first hour and a half. How long is this movie? 2 hours, right?
I skipped the full 2 hours.
I think the last 20 minutes is still good. You think it's just shit all the way?
I think it is. Honestly, I think it is.
You think not even like Laurie and Michael could, maybe because you didn't watch because you haven't seen any of the Halloweens before, right?
No.
So that's probably part of the reason why you don't like it, even for fan service. Because I've seen, I think most of Halloween, not most of them, I'm lying to you. I've seen the original, the second one, and then the 2 new ones, and then now this one. So I do like seeing, and also I like just when the scary monster fights the regular girl, I guess. I mean, not regular girl, Laurie Strode. She's in a room of her own. Jamie Lee Curtis has played this character that's the end of the small review. I'm going to go ahead and just talk about some background knowledge before we get into it. So like we said, I think it's the 10th installment, if I'm not mistaken. I really can't remember. I know there's Halloween H2O, Halloween 3, which doesn't even have Michael Myers in it, Matt, believe it or not. It's just a bunch of scary stories. It's like you've seen Scary Stories from the Dark. You know what that is, Matt? It's like a little children's book. It's more of a small version, like a lighter version of, what's the word? A lighter version for kids, like Goosebumps,
Yeah.
That make more sense. But Laurie Strode, the character, Jamie Lee Curtis Jamie Lee Curtis has played this character for 40 years. There has been multiple different iterations of Michael Myers, so that's pretty cool in itself. So I'm glad that she's in it still and still kicking it. To say there's a definitive end in this movie, like, is there gonna be another movie? I've seen people say like, oh, there could be another. Yeah, there could. We'll talk about it's a horror movie. I would say like he died, died. Like you get chopped up, but then Chucky came back, and Chucky is in like Chucky 2, he gets straight up melted, and he comes back, but he's like a soul. But also Michael Myers comes back when he's dead. I'm pretty sure he like died at one point, and then like they revived him. Or is that Jason? Either way, I'm getting into too much. This movie. I checked the budget. I can see why they keep churning out these movies, Matt. The budget. The first one was 10 million. I think that made $1 billion. The first one, because it was actually really good. Like not the original, the new one. The second one was only 20 million, I think, and it still made money. Even with this one, they made their money back on first week. They made 40 million at the box office, and that's because it wasn't even what's the word, Peters? How do I say this? It wasn't even on. It was because we could double stream it too. So imagine if it wasn't on streaming services, it at least made 60 million. You know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of. Well, of course you're gonna go watch it because Halloween, but I could see them easily churning out another movie because it was so cheap to make. Because the only big actor you're really paying is Jamie Lee Curtis, because I think she's from Glee is like the other like big thing she did. I know I'm like doubting her. Like Jamie Lee Curtis is actually a great person or like a great actress, so I shouldn't just say, oh, she's on the Glee. That's where I really know her from, besides the Halloween franchise. Also, I think I watched a few direct like backgrounds wise. And you know Michael Myers' mask, right? It's just Mike Myers, and all they did was just paint on it. This one's always. Do you know that, Peters?
No.
Yeah, it's a little detail because like even in Baby Driver, which is another movie, they wanted to use Michael Myers' mask, but they couldn't get the rights because of how like it was like in limbo. So they used Mike Myers' mask instead. They asked Mike Myers they could use his mask, and they put that. They just.
What the fuck is this mask? Austin Powers.
Just like fuck it, we're gonna use that instead. If I'd have, well, let's just get into it. You want to go ahead and start off, Peters? We start at this movie takes place, or at least the beginning of this movie takes place. It's like a flashback scene, right? It's like we have like horror, like it's like a rock horror music we have in the background, and it's a year before the original. A year after the original movie, because it gets in 2018 when the original new movie came out, so it's 2019, so it's a year after Michael presumably is dead, I guess, or I don't know when Halloween Kills comes out exactly, but Halloween Kills happens the day of, like the day after, like he comes out of the house, and then because you haven't seen it, right? So
No, I wouldn't know.
So he came right after the end of Halloween. They think they murder him, and Halloween Kills is right after, like same night is what they're kind of portraying. So it's a year after those events, and so we see what do we see first? Do we see we see the parents, right? Because they're telling them
we see kids trick or treating, right? So they go up to the door,
mm-hmm.
and they knock on the door, and they're like, trick or treating. They get the candy, they leave. So then it goes to
it is the parents, right?
Corey. Yeah, Corey comes.
Corey comes in because he's talking about babysitting, right?
Yeah.
And then parents are leaving. It's like these two rich people. I think Matt said you recognized one of them. I don't remember.
It wasn't.
It wasn't. It was a completely different person.
Yeah, completely different person.
I'm pretty sure they're well known, but honestly, this movie's so forgettable. So we see them, and they're like, okay, here, yeah, take care of the kid. And then Corey's like, oh, okay. Like, Corey's just trying to get his money. And the kid's watching a scary movie. He's watching, I don't know exactly what movie it is. I'm pretty sure it's an iconic one. And also, it's been a bit. I think it was a werewolf movie. So maybe it was like I think it was a werewolf movie at first. And maybe he changed the channel. And then it was like, right? It was like a green monster, right? And then like he pulled his guts. And
it was something like that, yeah.
So it started just freaking. So he's like, now we gotta change this because that's too
like the little fake blood throwing.
Yeah, so it was a little too gory for the 7-year-old, 10-year-old kid or whatever. So he's like, you gotta do that. So he goes up to the room, right? I think, sort of. I think he maybe goes up to the room. Either way, we find a conflict, and then who's it? Corey.
I think Corey went into the kitchen to get a piece of that cake.
Okay, yeah.
And then when he came back out,
he got like a little freaked out because he heard a noise.
Yeah.
The lamp was on the floor,
The
right?
lamp was on the floor, door was wide open.
And then so he's like, and he's looking for the kid because he's trying to find the kid. And so I'm like, so what the movie is trying to show you, it's kind of like the beginning of the Batman, where like the Batman, his parents always die. So that's kind of what you're getting there, because you see a small kid and then you're like confused. So it's kind of like parallel in that scene where you're expecting the Batman's Bruce Wayne's parents. Sorry if you didn't know Bruce Wayne's parents die. You're expecting that, you know what I mean? So it's like trying to subvert your expectations. So you're like expecting Michael Myers to murder these families. So you don't expect Corey or all these whoever we just saw. You expect them to be dead, right? That's kind of what I think what the movie was going for, which I think also did help, because I'm pretty sure you were thinking, at least when you were watching this, like, oh, for sure, I thought so too. That like, oh, these kid that he's about to get killed by Michael, you know, or Michael already killed the kid.
To be honest with you, I wasn't thinking that. I didn't even know who Michael was. So I was like, I expected Corey to kill him.
You expected Corey to kill him?
Yeah,
You
I
thought like
expected
this was like Michael's origin story or something?
I didn't know what I was expecting. I never saw any of the other ones, so I'm just going in there with
With the
I
blind
thought
eye?
Corey was Michael. I didn't know.
Well, at least that's what that's what I think the movie was trying to portray. So we see Corey goes up the stairs with a knife, and the kid is like, come find me, come, like, stuff like that, right? And then he like locks the door on him, right? Or something. Oh, he puts like a chair, I think. And Corey's like, hey, stop, like, come on now. And then he starts getting frustrated, right?
Yeah.
And the parents come home. Did it right? The parents.
Yeah, they walk in when he starts kicking the door.
Mm-hmm. And then the parents come at the worst time possible. And it's because Corey has a knife. And the parents are like, they're coming home and they hear Corey basically talking all this shit about about the kid, like, what the fuck you doing, all this, just like he's not being nice, but also he's probably frustrated, you know. And then the kid is like still talking, and I think his name's Jeremy. I think we found out his name's Jeremy.
Jeremy, it is.
And Jeremy is like, okay. Then he finally who does he open the door, or how does it happen? Oh,
I cannot remember. I think he kicked it open finally.
oh
That's
yeah,
what
I think.
thought.
Oh yeah, I think he did. Like he kicked it or something. And either way, was the kid on the outside? Oh yeah, I know what happened now. The kid was on the outside of the door, and Corey somehow got locked in, and then he like locked the door on him, and then Corey ended up kicking the door like he said. And it made me laugh when we watched it the first time. I had to rewind it. That was actually probably my favorite part of the movie, honestly. That's sad that the favorite part of my movie is a kid falling off the stairs, because the kid, I will put that in the edit. Freaking the kid, what is it? He gets kicked and then he falls, like, and you can tell it's a fake dummy or whatever. And he falls flat and then he just splats. It's kind of like in Halloween Kills, there's like a penguin, like the original penguin, like the fat penguin dude. That's what he kind of looks like, and he ends up just splatting, and it's gross and it's not necessary. But in this one, it makes sense why the kid died, because I think somewhere in between, before we meet Lori, right before we go to the house, we see Lori again, because we see like the cops come in, and we see Lori, and then we see a hanging body, and I'm pretty sure that's a real hanging body, because what the movie is trying to portray doesn't mean it's doing good at it. Is it trying to portray that Michael, even though he's gone, he's still leaving a curse, because everybody's having this suspicion that he's gonna come back and start murdering everybody, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's what it's trying to say exactly. So then we see Lori, right? And Lori, with her daughter. You want to go ahead and take this, Matt, right? She's like with the pie, right? That she's burning it.
Yes, the burning. I thought she got pulled over. Was that later?
Yeah. I think it's later. Yeah, I think it's later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but first we think we see. I think you're right, actually. Yeah, you're right. Because
yeah.
the intro. Oh yeah, the intro card plays right after we see the hanging body or whatever.
Because it shows her getting pulled over on the bridge,
Mhm.
and then it shows under the bridge.
Yeah,
the
before
hobo.
before we do that, I think before you said before they come over, we see the intro, which is like the original Halloween movie, which is iconic, but they kind of just put like a thump into it. They kind of just like went like that. It's a little thump into the thing. I like it. The original's still better. It's kind of hard to beat the original, you know. But yeah, I think you're right. Like the guy pulls her over, and he's from the previous movie. He's been like a character just like Lori. He's been in the movies for
because I remember when they were at the house, she goes, Don't you like that police officer or something? They were talking about
Yeah,
how-
because he's like an older. He's actually not. I don't think he is a legacy character. He's just an older one. And she's like trying to say like because Jamie Lee Curtis, because she used to be like this crazy like lady. Now she's like trying to be good because she's writing this book. I don't think that's brought up
the
yet.
daughter's the one that got pulled over though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like
Yeah.
she's trying to get her to hit on him, like
Yeah.
get her a boyfriend. But Jamie's like, I need to get like, I guess she's trying to see grandkids. I guess that's her goal because she's ready to get
Oh, I see
old.
the grandkid right now, the daughter.
Oh yeah, there's her grandkid. But like, I mean, I guess great grandkids. Then she's trying to get trying to see more family. See her because the mom died in the last movie, so the granddaughter is living with her because well, at least her reasoning in the movie is that she's trying to, what's the word, like
Protect her.
help her recover so she doesn't go back to being insane, or if she's without her, what is she gonna do? So she doesn't want. It's kind of like there for like, I guess like how people live with their, not all the time, but like when people are like on suicide watch. So maybe she's not on suicide watch, or maybe she's gonna go in situations where she's gonna harm herself, not harm her. You know what I mean? In a way, harm herself. Like basically fight Michael again somehow. So go crazy. And then we see Corey get out of jail, or he's out. I said he's out of jail. We don't actually see him get out of jail, but we see Corey. He gets shown a bike by, we don't know who this person is at first. So I'm like, how do you get this good job? Like he's a mechanic, but granted, I think some mechanics, like especially like rundown ones, he's what's the word? How do you say him at like
When we first saw Corey though, wasn't he in front of the supermarket?
in front of super? Yeah, but we see his bike. We see his.
He didn't have a bike then.
Oh, okay. Then maybe
Because he asked them kids to buy him a 6-pack because he was sitting in front of the corner store.
Yeah, but he has his bike first. Then he goes to the corner store. I think we see him. I think we see the bike first, and he's driving.
I thought he got the bike afterwards.
Either way, he has a bike at one point. I don't know if he. Oh, yeah, no, he does have the bike first. I'm pretty confident he has the bike first because he drives there first, and then he sees the kids because remember
He was already there though. The kids pulled up on him.
Okay, yeah, maybe you're right. It doesn't really matter.
Because the bike would have came in after he got beat up, and then she saved him.
Yeah, no, on my notes it says he gets the bike first. Like legit, it says gets bike and then he heads there. Or maybe he gets a new bike, but he has a bike at first. Either way, but Corey is out of jail, and yeah, we see the kids, and then the kids are they're like they kind of look like out of this, not in the time, because the time is setting. I guess like it's like an older town, probably doesn't have like not electricity. How do I say it, Matt? Like the technology that like a Houston would have, or a bigger city. But these kids look like they're straight ripped out from like the 1980s, you know, right? Because like one has like they don't look like they're dressed like how modern 13-year-olds dress. But I think that's more part of the set than. Either way, it kind of bugged me because it doesn't seem like I guess they're bullies, you know, but they come up to Corey, right, and they say like, oh, that's the guy that
Killed that kid.
They keep calling him a kid killer, and I guess everybody knows about it, or that he didn't kill the kid on purpose, but he did kill it. He manslaughtered, but he what's the word? They're picking on him, right, and then they end up he has like a glass thing, right, and he gets a part of his character, a part of Corey's character. We haven't really talked about Corey much, but Corey is kind of like the substitute for Michael Myers. I guess like what they. A bad thing about this movie is like this would be a decent and like a different movie, but for this movie it doesn't make sense because why are you trying to make an apprentice? Like we want to see the end, not the new, you know. But what is it, Corey? How do you say it, Matt? Corey,
squeezes the bottle. And
yeah, he squeezes. Yeah, because he's getting mad, right? Because part of his thing is that he does have a anger problem, which was shown earlier in the scenes. So Corey like breaks the shit, and he's like breaks the glass, and it starts going on his hand. He has a big cut, and then the kids freak out. Right? Does he end up getting kicked by them? Yeah,
they start jumping.
Yeah, they start beating him up after he like freaks out, and then Jamie Lee Curtis comes, and she's like, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" And then she ends up taking him to the house, right? I think to like freshen him up, or does she take him to the hospital?
The
hospital.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, he goes to the hospital, and she's the daughter, not granddaughter. I forget her name, but the granddaughter of
Allison.
Allison. That's it. It's perfect, Matt. You right on time. Allison, she's like flirting with him, like saying like, because Corey's not a. At least they put glasses on him. You know, typical movie trope. You put glasses, that means they're unhot, obviously. So, what is it? She's like picking it up, and she's like flirting with him, like, hey, you know, like you can tell that she has something for him. And then Allison asks him out because you seen her. Yeah, we do see the cop, like you said earlier, because you seen her previous people. Like she's not really looking there. I guess Haddonfield, the town, is not really out there with like Prince Charming chilling, you know. So you're gonna talk, Matt, or you're just gonna nod your head? So Allison, what is it? She says, oh, okay, cool, and then so she has a better date, probably around her age range, because that officer looked like he was like in his 40s, you know, not like the 26 she probably is. So the mom comes in, she's like, we see Corey go to his mom's house, right, or his parents' house, and the mom is like, what is it? She's like, where you been? Like, like what happened to your scar? Because the mom's more like one of our friends. I'm not gonna say who, but she's like overprotected mother, you know. She's a very like, hey, what you doing? And I can understand why. She was probably like that before, anyways. But her kid did murder a kid, so you can't. I can see why she's like little, like, hey, where you been? If Life 360 was in this movie, she would definitely have that on him. So he talks about that. She talks about that. I think they're at the dinner table, and she's like, I think they even mentioned like about like, hey, you have a girl yet or whatever, or what's up with that. And we see the dad there, who's the mechanic, and then whenever after she gets mad about him because of the scar, he goes, he tells, what is it? We see Corey helping with the motorcycle, like you said, and I think that's when the dad is like, gives him it. So you are right. I think he has a bike before, and then he gets a motorcycle. But again, it's been like 2 weeks since we've seen this movie, so give us a little leeway. So then we after that, Matt, we have a flirting scene. So maybe that's what I have here. You want to go ahead and take this, Matt? At least
Sure, farting scene.
Flirting.
Oh, I think it's a farting scene.
There ain't no
bro,
farting scene here.
Yeah, I heard that. What are you talking about?
We see.
That's when.
Oh yeah, flirting scene. Now I know what it is.
When
Okay.
she pulls up with her car. At the,
No,
at the
not
job.
that. Not that. It's where we already seen the cop. It's when we see Lori. She's at the grocery store, and we see the old man, and it's kind of cute actually, because it's actually one of the only genuine moments in this movie, I'd say. You know, and the old man. I don't know if we've seen him before in previous movies, but he's like saying like, "Oh, you look like he." It's cute. I don't know. Best way to put it is like he's like it seems genuine. You can tell they're probably friends, or at least the actors did really well in portraying the scene. Then she leaves the grocery store, and then we see the lady from the previous movie. When Michael gets out of the house of the fire, he goes to go get a knife because that's the first thing he has to go do. It's like brushing his teeth with him. So he grabs it, Peters, and he like freaking like stabs her with like it's like they use it in wrestling a lot. It's like a tube light. He stabs her straight in the neck. Somehow she survived, and the lady's like you did this. You keep like I guess like provoking him or something. Basically, she's blaming her husband dying and then her living with a freaking basically like a cigarette smoker. Is like she's blaming it on Lori, and that's another thing that's shown on throughout the movie. We had to take a break. Matt had to go puke real quick because of this movie, obviously.
You gotta put me on the spot.
No, we did there. So we're back at the shop again with the dad's shop, and Corey he sees that the kid that bullied him earlier was he sees his dad, and he gets frustrated he doesn't. The little kid gets frustrated because he gets bullied just like how he bullies others. So it's like that whole thing. If you're a bully, you probably got bullied by someone else. Doesn't mean you should put it on other people. It's just showing that. And then he sees, because he's talking to Allison, because Allison invites him to the party. And then we go to the party, and the dancing is very, like, now that I realize what I wrote in my notes, we see Allison, and he like does all these weird movements because he just has a mask on, and he's getting like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like freaking.
It's like one of those Cinderella movies, right? Where you have that little the little masquerade mask hiding, so everybody thinks they don't know who
that
anybody
one
is.
Cinderella movie, not those Cinderella movies. But I was thinking more of like Alvin. But yeah, that works too. So he starts dancing and he's all whatever hyped on. It's weird because he's even dancing with her. He's just kind of doing his own thing. And then you see his Jeremy's mom, right? And then Jeremy's mom's like drunk because obviously it's been a year since her son has passed, and she's like, so you get to have all this fun and you're over here and I'm over here like whatever. And so he walks out of the place because obviously his the kid they just killed a year ago, his mom is like making him guilt tripped, obviously. So he goes out and then Allison's like, hey, I stopped you because I knew you were a good person, because everybody in the town knows about Corey's murder. So but she says that like it's not like I see there's something like I can see over that you're a good person. You know what I'm saying, Matt? So what is it? Corey leaves, right? And then we see the kids.
Yeah, Corey starts walking home,
and
he's mad.
And the kids start bullying him again. There's actually a few of them. There's a girl. I think there's two girls exactly.
Well, the girls didn't want to bully him.
Yeah, the girls were just there because they wanted to feel cool, but they weren't exactly what's.
They were like, you're going too far.
Yeah, like you're going too far, and they start beating him up because Corey's like, I don't want to fight or whatever, and then Corey, I don't know how exactly it happens. Corey like freaking gets knocked and he falls over the sewer. And he lands at the bottom because like that bridge that you talked about earlier when they were driving, and he falls down into like the little hobo area. And they're like, "Did we kill him?" And they're like, and then the older kid's like, "Don't talk about it.
Let's leave."
Yeah, they drive out, and so Corey's there like knocked out on like the floor, and then
the line I liked right there though was like, she goes, "You're no better than him."
Yeah, exactly, because it's the truth. You're no better than him. You just killed him, and then what is it? We go and we see I think he ends up waking up and we see the hobo, right? We see a hobo that's just there because no, he goes inside. Michael takes him inside, and he's getting choked by Michael, and Michael ends up not doing anything. It's weird. Then we see when we're back at the kitchen and they're talking about how where's Corey's been, because I think when we see Michael there, we're just gonna put these two scenes together. Because I'm not exactly where they come in order. But we do see Michael, and Michael ends up not killing him. Yeah, that's what happens. He's not killing him, then he just kicks him out. It's weird because it kind of seems like it's a possession thing. I think that's what the movie's going for. Or they found what's ready inside him. I don't know exactly it's not really explained. It's kind of like in Don't Worry Darling where they don't, I like how I just reference every other one that we've seen so far, but like where like there's a lot of questions but no answers to those questions, you know. Yeah. So I think that's what what they're trying to show here, and it doesn't really work. So we see and so they're talking about the date, and he's saying, oh well, he left because he got freaked out and whatever. And then we go back and we see the hobo. He finally does come out, and the hobo's like, so did you see him? No one ever comes out of there alive. And then the hobo like starts freaking out. I think he starts like, trying to kill him, right? And I think he gets the knife back on him, and he ends up stabbing.
Because he rolled on top of him and
ends up stabbing him. And then Corey's like freaked out at first, but then he like has a sense where he feels good about it. You know, I'm like, it's weird. And then once then he comes. He's like, then after that he goes to the house, and he goes to Lori's house, and when he's there, Lori seems concerned because she's like, I don't know, there's something different about him now. Like I see it in his eyes, like, you know, it's not what I saw the week before, like the boy that I tried to get you with. So it's like more, you know, there's something there. I don't know how to explain it, but there's something wrong. I don't know what it is, but we got to figure it out. Like, cause girl, you can't be hanging out with him. I'm not gonna. It's not that I want you to date, obviously. And then we see another person where they're like, hey, like you're making like Lori goes to Corey's house, and she's like, you're part of the reason, like, because she goes and sees Corey's mom because she's trying to figure out what is it? How do I say this, man? Like the word she's trying to like consolidate. Like, oh, what's with your son? And then she's like, well, you're just as, you're part of the reason. Like again, making Lori feel like shit because she's the reason that this murderer is murdering everybody, even though she's the one that's trying to stop it. She's the reason that he keeps coming back, I guess, because he hasn't killed her. But what do you want to do? Like, not? Do you want her to not like to die? Like, and maybe that stops. What if it doesn't? Then like you're just like Peters. They won't. Michael ain't gonna stop. But we see. Who is it? We see the Corey and Allison, right? We see Corey and Allison at the diner, and what happens exactly? I think Doug comes in, right? Doug, like they're on the corner, right? All the guys, and then Doug walks up and he's like, "Hey, Allison, why didn't you call me back earlier?" Like, she's like, "Doug, I don't like you. Like, get away."
Blunt.
Yeah, it's like she straight up like just get away from me, and then like Corey's there, like, cause that you're like with him, like, isn't he the like everybody always says that, like, and then she Corey ends up giving like is like mad, and he's like started to talk. I think that's when he like talks up to him, and he's like, "Hey, get away," and then like Doug's like he like walks back, and then his friends are like, "Is there a problem or something?" Because they're all like act like they're tough guys or whatever. He's like, "No, there's no problem. And then Corey drives away. I don't know exactly. I think maybe he drops off Allison. Either way, Doug ends up chasing him. Remember?
On that motorcycle.
Yeah. Yeah. He's on the motorcycle, and he ends up. Oh yeah, because what happens is, he drops off Allison, and then he ends up having hot kissing. They have very. They don't end up having sex in this movie, which is weird. That usually happens in horror movies, but no, they just end up kissing, and then he lets her leave, and then I think Lori might be looking through the window that Michael usually looks through, because the whole plot of the last movie, Matt, is that Michael wants to go back to his old house and just sitting there, right? But then Michael's never there again and is never brought up again. You can tell they just wrote down like, oh, that's good enough to get us to the third movie. We'll make enough money here. So that's exactly what they're thinking. But Corey then drives away, and
he got followed.
Doug's following him, and then he ends up following him to the sewer area. And then he goes inside the sewer, and Doug ends up finding the hobo's body, because I think he just put like a tarp over it. He didn't really do much.
Put in the camp little tent.
Yeah, I think he just there's a little tent. He's like, it was like, oh, and then he follows into the sewer like a dumbass, and then we see Michael again, and it's cool because I actually kind of like their tandem. It's just bad how they executed it, because when they do, like, Corey tries to hit him, and then Corey's like, "Hey, chill, Mike, I got him," and then Mike ends up killing him because Corey doesn't end up killing him at first, right? Because I think it's like a little struggle, and then Michael ends up just stabbing him because like Corey didn't. He's still not good at being a killer, because he just killed a hobo. You're not really doing much. So Doug ends up dying there, and it's good. No one likes Doug, anyways, you know.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I mean, Doug's just kind of he's just in the wrong moment. Let's say that, Matt. And so he ends up going back. Corey changes, and actually they do have sex. They have sex right after this again, and then
I don't remember that.
Yeah, they do. They end up after Corey changes, and he goes back to the house, and then the mom's like, "Where you at? Like, come, like, what are you doing?" And then constantly up there is radio. Well, he will be brought up later, but I don't remember the guy's name. But the radio, they always talk about Michael and conspiracies or whatever over the radio, and it always like ticks off Corey because they keep hearing it because he keeps talking about how they're that's the word. I don't know the exact words to say, but they're he keeps feeding off the media, like just how the news does. Like when people pass, they like it's like a big thing. So he kind of just uses that to his advantage, and now more of these deaths are happening because Corey keeps killing people like crazy. Because every time he like has a conflict with Allison, or like with like someone like gets Allison on the wrong footing, he just murders him. And then Corey just comes back and no one says anything, and then so we see. Oh yeah, remember because they talk about who's it? Remember the nurse girl? Because Allison is like trying to get position, but the other girl gets it because she ends up banging the because I remember you saying like, oh, she has that because of something. There's no way in hell she got the position better, and we see she ends up banging. So they don't have sex. It's the those two. They're banging with the manager, right? Manager, owner.
Yeah, pretty much like the supervisor, I guess.
Yeah, so the one that gets positions. So she's there, and we see this nice ass house. It's like insane. And she's just there like skimpy, but she don't really care. She's not there about the money, but she's like there with him. And then we see so Corey hears about this thing and the conflict. So Corey goes there, and he's in like a clown mask, and it's kind of in the reboot, not this reboot, another reboot that happened like in 2010 with Rom Zombie. They kind of showed like Michael's origins, and they had like a mask, and that's kind of what the mask I think they were trying to get. They're trying to like portray like, oh, like he's Michael in that way. I think it's kind of like a Easter egg more than a actual plot to the story. But I think does she? Oh yeah, I think it's like we see the old man because they're on opposite sides of this house, and through the glass we see the old man get like dying, right? Because like he's like getting stabbed, and you're like, who's stabbing it? And then it shows that's Corey, right? Because like he pulls his mask up, and then he's trying to kill who is it? I don't remember the name. The hot girl.
The little brunette.
Yeah, the brunette. She's definitely a brunette. But either way, the one that stole Allison's position, she's over there. He's trying to kill her, and he's doing a shitty job. Like she's about to call the phone, and the phone gets knocked out of her hand. And then we see Michael. Michael just stabs her, and he like hangs her up to the wall. Just like he does it a lot in the Michael. He just like what he does. He just puts a knife and just stabs her in the stomach. You know what I'm saying, Peters? He just like goes like that, and it's a kill he does in most of the movies. It's pretty cool. But granted, we don't really get the good kills until the kids die, unfortunately. But he murders her, and then he comes back again. It's this same old. And Laurie talks about this fire burning, like something's happening. And then now we hear about these deaths, and we hear about the radios talking about it, what's happening, and they're all like concerned. And then Corey comes back again. I remember this. And what we have here is Corey's at the house, and he ends up killing his mom. I forget why it happens. I know, like, obviously there's a conflict, but he ends up just murdering her. Or no, I think Michael ends up murdering her. One of them do, but it's. I remember telling you, man. I was like, yeah, I like that. Like his mom's. I was like, don't kill the dad. At least not. Well, Corey, don't kill him, please. But the mom ends up dying. Corey was just getting frustrated about her because she kept having concerns. And throughout these scenes, we do see him go with Allison. Allison's just chill. She don't really suspect a thing. Or maybe she does, but she don't care, you know? And Laurie's kind of throws aside because she's trying to do like her little, trying to figure out what's happening, but no one knows exactly. Either way, at one point, we end up going to do we go to the radio station? Do we go to the radio station?
Yes.
You do. I think, yeah, it's radio station before the kids, right? That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. So we go to the radio station because, again, this guy's just talking shit. And Corey's like, hey, why you there? Like, come on. Because they usually sit on top of there. It's kind of like Spider-Man where he sits on top. Or, like, it's like the romantic area where they go and sit. And they're talking about burning this place down. And she's talking more about metaphorically. He's talking about actually burning it down. Because he's like, you want to go ahead and leave to Haddonfield? We can leave Haddonfield. And she's like, no, I got to stay here because my mom. And not my mom, my grandma. You know, you can't. Like, I want to stay here for her. And he's like, we can leave and go do these things. And Corey ends up, he ends up coming there. And it's actually sad that I remember this kill. I have no idea how he kills him. I can't remember how he kills this guy. But either way, he ends up murdering the guy because he's talking all this shit. And then Michael, I don't know if it's Michael that kills him or Corey. I'm pretty sure it's Corey at this point.
I know he cuts his tongue off and it's spinning around the freaking.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. That was actually a pretty cool kill. Cause like because it keeps making a little noise over the radio feed because it keeps touching over the spindle. So they're like, so why is this friction? So they end up, I don't remember who it shows, but they end up changing the radio station because it's just keeps going like a little hump.
It was Allison who changed the radio station.
Oh yeah, it is Allison. Cause I think she's in the car with Lori, and then he calls Allison, and Allison's like, he's like, we gotta go, because he really did a bad thing this time. Like, I gotta go. Like, we gotta leave Haddonfield. And then of course she starts packing up, and she's like, I think Lori comes into the house. She's like, "What are you doing? Like, you haven't answered my phone calls or whatever." And then Lori's, "You want to go leave with him? Like, I see something in him. Like, what are you talking about?" And then Lori's trying to convince her daughter, "Don't do it." But then Allison's just blind. It's weird too, because she falls in love with him quick. It's not because like she's like a supporting, like it's all about not female empowerment, because it wasn't meant to be like female empowerment in the first movie. It's more of just like they're badasses, right? And in here, Allison's just kind of like thrown to the side. So it makes, for me, it's like, I don't know how you turn on your grandma who you just like fucking almost murdered, Michael. So like, but granted, her boyfriend did just die in the last movie, and her mom died. So I could see why she's a little conflicted with staying with her. Like, why do you want to stay here? And she's like even saying like you're like kind of like you want him to come back. You're waiting for Michael to come back to be how do you say it, man? Like to be you want that feeling of, I guess, conflict, right? That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, you want the yeah, I guess conflict is the best word.
Yeah, like you want him to come back because I guess your lie is boring or whatever. But so once he ends up murdering like the dude, I think we go to the. Does he go to the repair shop? Somehow he gets to the repair shop. To his dad's place, right? And maybe he's going to pick up his motorcycle. I don't know exactly what it is, but we somehow get there, and is it just to kill the kids?
Yes.
I think maybe it is just to kill the kids, but the kids are there for some reason. Cause he's chasing them because he sees them again. And he's like, this time he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go after them, because they see it like in his eyes, like, oh, something's wrong, because they thought he was dead at first, and he's like, so the kids run to the repair shop, and that's where his dad is, and his dad just has like the headphones on because dad just sits inside most of the time, and so he's chasing them. And I think I have in my notes here, yeah, the kids chase Corey. I put Allison as a bot. I don't know why I put that, but yeah, we get all the kids die in certain ways. We get one we got one, they got their face burnt. I don't know exactly that happened. Was there a fire there? Maybe it just at the area.
I don't think there was a fire.
Or maybe it was like a cheese, like not cheese. I was gonna say a cheese grater, electric. Either way, one, I have he burns his face. The girl gets ran over. I remember that one because she runs over the gate, but she ain't dead yet. So she's just kind of sitting there, and they're all like what's the word? They're all like freaking out because like she's trying to get him out, and they're trying to like take him. Yeah. So at this point, Corey's trying to leave, and he's but the kids are kind of his conflict right now. So Allison's over there. That's why I said Allison's a bot. So then we get the kid. There's 4 kids, right? Like I said, one is under the grader. One his face got burnt, and then we got another one where we see. So how much did I leave? 2?
The shotgun, his face.
Yeah, well, I'm about to say that one. So the kid goes to his dad. His dad finally like, oh, he hasn't paid attention at all. So he finally gets out, and he pulls out a shotgun, and yeah, I think he gives him the shotgun. They both have a gun, right? I think one has a pistol, one has a shotgun, and then when we're heading there, we're basically heading down the home stretch of this movie. So freaking, how does it happen? The little girl's there, right? Because I think she might be stuck or something. There's like a little black girl, right? And I remember her death. First was actually pretty sad. I forget how she died. Did she get stabbed in like the face? She just get like, or you're not sure?
I can't remember.
I know the shotgun death. I remember that one especially, cause what is it like? Cause after he murders her, he stabs her in the face or whatever, cause she's like stuck after the car chase. She's like stuck in an area, and then he ends up killing her, and like the kid's trying to save her, but then I think he ends up like trying to book it, cause he's like, oh, I gotta go, and then he has the shotgun. And he sees Corey, and then Corey's all blooded up, and he has the mask. And then the dad sees his son basically turn into a monster. And then the kid shoots the gun and misses Corey somehow. I don't know how. And he shoots him straight in the head, right? Shoots him straight in the fucking head. And I was like, I didn't want Corey to kill his dad, but I'm glad that the kid killed his dad. And then, of course, Corey ends up murdering the fuck out of the other kid. And then after And after Corey kills kills the last kid, right? The main kid. Oh no, there's still one left. He gets back in the car. I think he actually has the car this time, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not because I would remember if it was a motorcycle kill. And he drives over her fucking head, and she ends up getting walloped. And then at one point, yeah, and then somehow, and after all that, I think he's trying to like get Allison to leave, but Lori somehow traps Corey. Is this earlier on? I think where Corey's trapped in there, or is this like the final part? Because remember they're at the old house, and there's like a blood plant on the floor, and I'm like, yeah, that old house.
That's right now.
Yeah. So it's right now. Yeah. So she's like saying like you really like
because she's sitting in that chair, and
and she's like, and she's talking about him, and he's like, what are you doing like to my family? Like I know there's something wrong with you and whatever. You're possessed by him. She's trying to confront him, and then somehow he ends up getting out. I don't know exactly, but I was thinking it's gonna be like a 2v1 at first, right? But it's just Corey here in this scene, and I kind of get why the directors did that in hindsight, because you're also like how do you want to put, like, you want to split them up, like you want like in a game where you have like the small boss battle and then you have the big boss battle, so you kind of want to put them separate, because Allison's just out. It's just Lori and Corey right now, because why would you have Michael Myers when this movie's all about Michael Myers, you know? Why wouldn't you have Komodo kids, you know? It makes no sense, Peters, but it is what it is. So Corey's there, and somehow he gets out, and they're talking, and Lori ends up beating him. Like she ends up like beating Corey, and obviously because Corey's a bum. And then she's talking about it like, oh, you were good or whatever, like you can't. And then how does she say it? He says like if Allison can't be with, she won't be with no one or whatever, something like that. Either can't be with me, but she won't be with no one, or some shit like that. Ends up stabbing himself in the neck, and then Lori ends up grabbing the knife, and it kind of looks like it kind of reminds me of like when Eddie Guerrero, what he would do. It's like he would like to like get DQ'd, or like get the other person DQ'd so he'd win the match. He would throw the chair at somebody, and like you would catch it, and he would fall on the floor, and then the ref would look back and be like, oh, he got hit by the chair, because so that's kind of what I was thinking there. Like he knew what he's doing. He was like, I'm murdering myself so Lori can, because right, Allison comes in, right, and then she's all conflicted.
Yeah.
Because
she's upset.
She's upset. She's like, did you just kill him? And she's like, no, I didn't kill him. What do you mean? Like, I didn't murder him. So Allison is like, freaking so depressed. And then we end up going to I don't know, somehow we get to the house, because it's not at the old house where they have this conflict, right? It's at the new house. I guess everything's like kind of brushing over, because they kind of blame it on Corey. And then she heads to the house, and I don't know if Allison's not there with her, right? I think Allison's is gone because she's depressed that her boyfriend just died, and and then she's writing in her thingy about or her book. She's talking about, I think, like death or whatever, right? That's kind of how you put it. Like she's talking about like the end of her book, and then she goes through the little lock safe, and it looks like Lori's gonna kill herself, right? And then Michael comes in, because Michael's in the house now, because I think she heard it, and she's like. And then she's like, did you really think I'd kill myself? It's like one of my favorite lines. And she ends up shooting Mike like 3 times. And then it's just a big like battle. They fight over the kitchen. Like Lori's like talking all this shit. Like, you think I'm stupid? This is what I said earlier was my favorite part, when the kid fell off. This is probably my second favorite part, when like they're fighting. Especially when she says that line, do you think I would kill myself? Like, I ain't no pussy. I'm gonna shoot you whenever. I think I might have to cut the P word out. That might be a little too much. I think that's the first time I said this on this pod, so it'll be on the Spotify feed, but definitely on the YouTube feed. I'll throw something over that. So they end up having a fight. They get downstairs. Oh yeah, I don't remember how Allison went, but again, it doesn't really matter, because it's just Lori and Mike here. That's really what should have been for an hour and 30 minutes. So Lori gets him to the ground. She starts like pinning him on she's trying to pin him on the kitchen, and he stabs her with like something in her ear, right? Like he like,
yeah, it was in
like,
the ear,
like a stick, and like starts poking her in the ear, and then she ends up getting it out. She like hits him on the fridge, and she somehow gets him down, and then what is it? what is it? Michael somehow gets trapped like this, right? I forget how it happens. Oh, she starts like cutting off all his limbs. No, not cut off. No, she definitely don't cut his limbs. She shoots him because all his limbs are still there at the end of the movie. And there's so much blood. Like Michael is bleeding a lot because his mask ends up coming off. Corey ends up grabbing his mask later on. I'm not sure exactly how that happened. I think Corey, like either way, his mask is off throughout the end of this. And when Michael's there, Michael's about to get the best of her because he's like choking her out, right? And then blood just starts coming from somewhere. I don't know where the hell it comes from, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Where he's choking her out and she's like it's like blood's coming, but you don't know where that blood's coming. I think he's about to finish her, and that's when Allison comes in and shoots Michael, and then they end up getting the advantage. And does she just shoot him in the head a bunch of times?
No clue. It was 2 weeks ago. I can't remember that.
I know because you haven't talked at all. But freaking, I think she ends up just getting he ends up getting murdered. The microwave's on because like the suspension of Michael ends up finally, I guess, dying at the point, and they're like, so Allison, everybody's murdered, and Allison's like, okay, we gotta like do this a different way. So they end up tying him on top of the car, right? They tie him on top of the car and they're driving around the city. So everybody, it's kind of like when like a famous person dies, they got to show it around the city. I guess like show like it's over finally, and you see like old characters, and then we see they just throw Michael into like a trash compactor, right?
Yeah, a trash compactor, a shredder,
something like that. Either way, he gets like put a bunch of pieces. Basically, like he's dead officially. Then Lori ends up finishing her book. And Allison's like, okay, I'll stay. Like, we're good now. They're all like, okay, like, we're good. And I think Allison's the one that ends up making a pie at the end of the movie, too. And then Lori finally finishes her book. And she comes outside, like, I guess to finally breathe fresh air. And we see the old man from earlier, right? And I forgot to mention this. He talks about the cherry blossoms, right, at the beginning. And then he brings her like he's talking about cherry blossoms and how he can bring her. It's a little, again, it's a sweet scene. And then there's talk about the end of the movie. And that's, and she writes, something. I forget, you probably have the quote somewhere in there, but she writes something at the end of it, and they finally are okay. Like they're okay and they can finally breathe fresh air. That's the end of the movie. Again, like I said, if you want to go watch the last 20 minutes. Unless you want to see, actually, that's a lie. You should go watch on YouTube the scene where the DJ dies, because apparently that's pretty cool. But that's the end of the movie, Matt. You want to go ahead and talk about your favorite scene?
Yeah, my favorite scene was probably
the end.
Yeah, it was probably the end.
Okay. At least give us something, Peters.
Yeah, probably when it was probably the Michael Myers scene where they were fighting in the kitchen.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember most of it, but if I watched it again, I'd be like, oh, yeah, that was pretty cool. I do remember, like, yeah, I think my favorite scene, I think I already talked about it, but when she does say, like, you think I would kill myself, and she starts shooting him, it's like, boy, come on now. Michael, you can't be that dumb. And I don't like when Michael's in the mask, though. Like, I get, like, they take it off because, like, he's, like, more human, but it's, like, the whole point of his mask is to, like you're not supposed to know who this guy is because he looks old and grizzled. But yeah, favorite character? Who's your favorite character? Is it
Corey?
Yeah, he's probably my least favorite character. Okay, that's time for our ratings, Matt. I'd give this a. Can I give it a? What's your rating? Let me think of my rating first.
A 54.
A 54? You're a little too nice there. I'd give it a solid 24. I think it was okay. Actually, no. Yeah, no. If I'm being honest, I would never watch this movie again. Straight up. Halloween's better. Halloween H2O is better, which is like their sequel that they retconned later on. Halloween Kills. I even like Halloween Kills better in this movie, and I didn't like Halloween Kills. Actually, if I had to pick between those two, I have to think about it because I really didn't like Halloween Kills either. Halloween's the only good one. They clearly is doing a cash grab, and there's probably gonna be another one because like when I said that budget, Matt, once I was like, people were saying like there's gonna be another movie, Once you see that budget, that's not a lot for a movie that made $1 billion like 4 years ago. 33 million is not a lot to make a movie. Do you think they'll make another sequel, Matt? Even though he just like got shredded.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll come eventually. I don't know if Lori will still be there, because her story's kind of ended. I feel like it'd be kind of like repetitive. Oh, she has all this closure, and then he's back again. Like because in the last move, like in the end of the first one, you can tell he's like there. She has suspicion he's still alive, so it's like it doesn't feel like closure. But here it's just yeah. My ratings are 24. That's the end of the review. You can follow us on all the socials at the DMPOD on Twitter. What is it? TikTok and YouTube, right? For the DMPOD. And then on Instagram and Twitter is the DMPOD_. You can find Matt on wherever he freaking posts on the Peters Won't Stop. You can find us on Spotify once Matt finally gets us situated. On Spotify for sure. We'll try to get Apple on. Go check us out on YouTube because we do have Ready 3 uploaded. Goodbye. Be safe.